Alright, hello viewers. We've got a crime crisis going on again, and man, I gotta get into it, and I gotta really rip into News 12 because it's really ridiculous, as you saw in the beginning in my little clip that I put here, their little intro for the news, and there's like no local news. It's like they gear to this demographic of white finance professionals sitting pretty in their enclaves, mainly on the South Shore, free from most of the crime, most of the filth, most of the problems and blight that the rest of us deal with. And they don't care because they serve them and they don't serve us. And what I have to deal with every day is seeing in the middle of the island. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. Okay, so let's take a look at this weekend here in Mineola, all right? I see literally 2 minutes from me a window broken, vandalism. All right, I see that. So vandalism. All right, you get having a lot of vandalism in Mineola lately. All right, this is something you don't see on the South Shore, but it happens all the time here. All right, and they finally did board that up today. And then also over the weekend, trash, piles of trash all over the sidewalks, disgusting, beat up cars. You know, I mean, this is not a way to live. This is not something that people should have to deal with, but this is the reality for those of us who aren't lily white finance professionals on Long Island. This is the reality of the problems, the garbage that we have dumped in our towns. Whether it be the vagrants, the drug addicts, the ex-cons, all the problems dumped here, all the businesses closing, while the media source for Long Island, News 12, thumbs their nose at us and says, we don't care. We only serve those snobby people. And if you can't be with them, you have no future on Long Island. That is the message that they're trying to send us. So let's take a look at some of the crime that's been going on. Oh, yeah, that's right. I almost forgot that I did a hike in Rocky Point today to try to get away from all these problems. All right? Tried to. I get out of the preserve, and there's a group of people in a police car in the parking lot because apparently some woman came and told me that her car was broken into while she was hiking. Isn't that unbelievable or what? That's what's going on, even in Rocky Point. Well, it's not the South Shore, so of course they're going to dump the problems there. And speaking of dumping the problems, while I'm waiting for the bus, I get to smell across the street from Rocky Point Preserve by the Stop and Shop, and I get to smell weed in the air. I get to smell somebody smoking a joint in the air, and there's a creep waiting to get on the bus. Of course, he doesn't have enough money to pay the full bus fare, and then a couple of stops down the line, a woman gets on the bus, refuses to wear a mask. Eventually, she puts the mask on when the driver says he ain't going to let her on the bus, and then she doesn't have the full fare, and then she sits down. She looks all disheveled. She's probably another vagrant again. I mean, literally, we are just being flooded with this here. We're being flooded. This is a crisis, and this is how they're portraying us out. This is how they're forcing us out. They're saying, well, if you don't want to deal with these things, if you can't take it anymore, and you can't be with you're not a white finance professional, sorry, you're going to have to leave Long Island. It doesn't matter if I've been here my whole life. These lily white finance professional snobs, in their preppy little ways, have just taken over everything, and they just get everything their way. And most people don't seem to want to take up arms and fight against these goddamn snobs and take back the island. So let's take a look at some of the crime that's going on. Okay, so let's talk about all this crime going on once again that we got to talk about here. And we're going to start off, I guess, with this. Two stabbed at a Suffolk County train station. This happened in Brentwood yesterday, and it was actually causing westbound trains to bypass Brentwood. So two people were stabbed at the Brentwood train station. News 12 had a very small story on it. Two people were hospitalized after being stabbed at a Long Island train station. The incident was reported around 5:47 p.m. Monday, December 28th, when the MTA police received reports of a stabbing at Brentwood Station on the platform. MTA police found that a woman had slash wounds on her right hand and a man had a puncture wound to his left thigh. Both were taken to Southside Hospital. As a result of the police activity, LARR Ronkonkoma branch westbound trains bypassed Brentwood Station for about an hour. MTA police are investigating the incident. Additional details regarding a suspect were not available. So, again, barely covered by News 12. They had a very short snippet about that, and as well as this, and this should have been the top story for the day, but it wasn't. One injured in fiery explosion at factory in Suffolk County. So police are investigating an explosion at a fire at a Long Island factory. The explosion took place around 9:20 p.m. Tuesday, December 29th at 1000 New Horizons Boulevard in Amityville, said Suffolk County Police. It's actually north of Amityville where this is. The explosion was followed by a fire. The factory, where GKN Aerospace Monitor and aircraft supply store is located, was evacuated, and one man was evaluated at the scene by medical personnel. The cause appears to be non-criminal. So, again, News 12 barely covered. It should have been a major story. It should have been the #1 top story, but it wasn't, because you know what they're talking about. All right? And then we've got this vehicle break-in here. Oh, yeah, vehicle break-ins. This has been happening a lot lately. So, police are investigating a robbery of a Long Island market in which an employee was threatened. So, this incident took place at 8:40 a.m. Friday, December 25th at the Bowler Market located at 2155 Linden Boulevard in Elmont, said the Nassau County Police. According to detectives, two men entered the market and approached the beer section. Each man grabbed 4 cases of beer and exited the store without paying. An employee followed the men into the parking lot. The men were loading the merchandise into a GMC Yukon when they were confronted by the employee. One of the men verbally threatened the employee, stating they had a gun. The employee returned to the store and called 911. The suspects fled the scene southbound on Elmont Road. Both men are being described as black males, 6 feet tall, around 200 pounds. Both are wearing black clothing and black masks. So I guess this was the car that, oh boy, see what I mean about these beat-up cars? See what I mean? So you have that. News 12 didn't even report on that. They didn't even report on that. And they didn't report on this either. This happened on the South Shore. 2 nabbed in connection with early morning Suffolk County restaurant burglary. 2 people are in custody following a burglary at a Long Island restaurant. And they were nabbed at 3:30 a.m. Monday, December 28th, following the break-in at the Shed, located at 21 Main Street in West Sayville, which is a very uppity area. So News 12 didn't cover that either. I mean, some of the crime spills over into the enclaves, too. They're not completely innocent. They're not completely innocent. Then we have a trio wanted for stealing Apple Watches at a Long Island T-Mobile store. That happened in Massapequa. I think it was at the Sunrise Mall. On Sunrise Highway in Massapequa. I don't know where there's a T-Mobile store on Sunrise Highway in Massapequa, but that happened. That also happened on the South Shore, but they didn't cover that. Let's see. Infinity Driver loses. They did cover that one. Then we have this. Trio nabbed for Suffolk County gas station robberies. So, the men allegedly robbed 2 Long Island gas stations on Christmas Day. Devontae Burgess and Shaquan Humphrey, both of Wyandanch, entered the Shell gas station located at 170 Bayshore Road in North Babylon at approximately 10:40 a.m. Friday, December 25th. One of the suspects displayed a knife, demanded cigarettes and cash. An employee complied with their demands. A third man, Fleet and Allen, 53 of Huntington Station, waited in a red Dodge minivan. Then they entered the Sunoco gas station located at 1000 Route 109 North Lindenhurst at approximately 11:30 a.m. Friday. One man displayed a knife and demanded cigarettes and cash. The employee complied, and the suspects fled in the Dodge minivan that Allen was driving. Police notification was broadcast, and a unit on patrol in Wyandanch stopped the suspects. So they initiated a traffic stop at South 21st Street and Long Island Avenue in Wyandanch at approximately noon on Friday, where they were arrested. So you have that crime. I mean, there's so much crime going on the island. We have this too. News 12 like briefly covered this. A third TD Bank robbery in less than a week. So now we have another TD Bank that was robbed in less than a week, and this time it was at 1600 Hempstead Turnpike in East Meadow. And the suspect is it's probably the same guy doing it. Suspect being described as black, 6 feet tall, with an average build. A description similar to the other two TD Bank robberies. So we have a robbery spree going on in Nassau County. We do have a serial bank robber. Pretty serious situation. News 12 barely covering it, of course, because again they don't really care. News 12 doesn't care. This guy stole 30 rings from a Suffolk County. I mean, there's literally so much stuff going on. Robbery at broad daylight. I think I covered. I don't know if I covered this one. I think I did. It was a robbery in Uniondale. I don't know if I did cover this one. Suspects at large. News 12 like covered it for 10 seconds. Suspects at large after dating victim with bat and robbery on residential Long Island Street. Police are searching for a pair of suspects who they say struck a victim with a bat during a robbery that happened in broad daylight on Christmas Day. Yeah, Christmas Day in broad daylight. You're not safe in the ghetto. Unless you're in an enclave, you're not safe. Happened at 3:45 p.m. A 26-year-old man was walking southbound on Nostrand Avenue in the vicinity of Northern Parkway and passed two unknown males. The two began to follow the victim and told him to stop multiple times. The victim was then grabbed from behind and struck with a baseball bat. Suspects removed an undisclosed amount of U.S. currency from the victim's pocket and fled northbound on Nostrand Avenue. The victim suffered a laceration to the left side of his head. He refused medical attention. The first suspect is being described as black with a thin build. He was wearing a black hat, sweatshirt, sweatpants, and a mask. The second suspect is described as white and was wearing a black hat, sweatshirt, mask, and gray sweatpants. Well, at least they're wearing a mask. But, I mean, this is what goes on. This is what goes on in many neighborhoods on Long Island. They're just dealing with more and more crime. And I can't even read all of them because there's just too many to read. That's how bad it is. Then we have the Christmas Day shooting. News 12 barely covered this. Shooting in Baldwin. Yeah, I don't think I brought this one up. So, a suspect at large after a Christmas Day Long Island shooting. A suspect is at large, and this happened on Friday, December 25th at around 6:36 a.m. in Baldwin. Now, it's on the South Shore, but like I said, part of Baldwin, especially the north part, is not safe. It's like Freeport. It's not, because Baldwin is not a lily white area. It doesn't get the same treatment as the other towns. It gets all the problems dumped there, even though it is on the South Shore. Nassau County First precinct officers found a 30-year-old victim lying on the ground on Cottage Place with a gunshot wound to his chest and shoulder. Nassau County Police Department ambulance transported the victim to a local hospital. The victim is currently in serious condition. So, it's serious. Cottage Place in Baldwin. I am not even sure where that is. Well, I'll have to look that up. There's so much crime going on. I mean, there's so much stuff going on Long Island, yet News 12 is not covering any of this stuff. Here we go. Man nabbed for a series of commercial burglaries. This guy from Brooklyn, Anthony Laveri, was arrested on Wednesday, December 23rd for allegedly burglary that took place at 5 a.m. at a grocery store in Woodmere. According to detectives, an off-duty Nassau County police officer was driving home from work when he observed a burglary in progress on an S&S Woodmere Inc., located at 1064 Broadway. While still in uniform, the officer exited his vehicle and approached the grocery store at about the same time. Livieri was leaving the store through a broken front glass door before attempting to flee. The officer was able to grab Livieri and struggle ensued. After a violent struggle, the officer was able to take him into custody. So they found that he's responsible for all these robberies here, or burglaries, I should say. Hempstead Tobacco Shop, Main Street in Hempstead. Ultra Gas Station, North Valley Stream. Speedway on Jericho Turnpike in Westbury. He's due to be arraigned Thursday, December 24th in Mineola. Hopefully, he wasn't set loose on the streets of Mineola, because that's always a possibility, thanks to bail reform, of course. And of course, the Middle Island gets all the problems. It's all dumped here. Most of it is dumped here. Sometimes it gets to the South Shore, but most it's the Middle Island and the North Shore that's dealing with all these problems. And again, if you go to News 12 Long Island, what are they talking about? It was all COVID. This is all they talk. This is the demographic they gear to, because they sit pretty in their enclaves. The only fear that these snobs have is COVID. They don't have to worry about the crime because they're safe in their enclaves with their own kind, while the rest of us deal with all the problems. So yeah, they just don't care about the crime. They don't care about the problem. I mean, it's all coronavirus. It's all corona all the time. It's all political news. I mean, there's no local news. Where is there any local news here? There's no local news at all. None at all. All right? It's just pathetic. And just to show you what News 12 New Jersey is like, not really much of a difference. They're also, this is outh. Outh is destroying the News 12 networks. However, there's still differences. I mean, if you look at News 12 Long Island, you see there, you get preppy Elizabeth and Aaron in the morning. They both from the South Shore. Very preppy, blondes, really annoying kind of people. But if you look at New Jersey, their mornings have regular people hosting. So it's just interesting. You can see the difference here. Look at how preppy and condescending they are on the Long Island one. But News 12 New Jersey, they seem more down to earth, because, again, that's all part of the plan, as we know, to get us out, because New York and Long Island are only for a certain demographic. Only a certain demographic can have a good quality of life here. The rest of us have to deal with all this crime. And there's a reason a judge in the city. But this is exactly what's going to happen on the street. The criminal, they're out streets committing crime. All right, so a Bronx judge cut a teen murder suspect loose only for him to allegedly slash a young woman in the stomach and sprung again by the same judge. Supreme Court Justice Dennis Boyle freed 16-year-old Jordan Benjamin without bail for the more recent December knife attack, allowing him to roam the streets despite the two pending cases for violent crimes. His alleged victim now furious. This is crazy, the mother of the victim, Amaya Hicks, said Monday. We thought he was still in jail. She doesn't have an order of protection or anything. He's local. He hangs out only 2 blocks away. Well, that's because they want you out. You're going to have to move out of New York if you want to be safe. Nobody called us, she said. I'm going to ring her now and tell her to get home. They didn't give us a heads up or anything. This is ridiculous. He can hurt another person. The first case against Benjamin is from Christmas Eve 2019. 60-year-old Juan Frenzda was walking with his roommate when police said the pair were assaulted by a group of teenagers, including Benjamin. Video of the brutal attack shows that Frenzda was stomped and pounded with a garbage can, and he died 3 days later. The teens only got $1 off of him. $1 kill a guy. They're not even animals, all right? Benjamin, because calling them animals would be an insult. Benjamin was initially confined to the Crossroads Juvenile Center in Brooklyn on a manslaughter charge, but freed by Boyle in March due to concerns over coronavirus. You believe that? So then he allegedly slashed Hicks on Intervale Avenue in the Bronx on December 14th, not far from his Hall Place home. He was arrested 3 days later and charged with felony assault and attempted assault and misdemeanor weapons possession, but released without bail as arraignment. Hicks spent 2 days in the hospital, underwent surgery. And everybody's shocked over this. It's injustice. I thought he was on trial. I thought he was in jail. It's unbelievable. This is what bail reform has done to New York. And their building is just steps away from where Benjamin and his friends regularly hang out. So those people are probably going to have to move. The lawyer who represented, like I said, the New York City, the thugs own the streets, and they're taking over the whole state. A statement from the State Office of Court Administration said, Boyle followed the law. Judges follow the law. The law clearly states that the least restrictive alternative should be the preeminent driver in bail consideration. So again, this is all due to bail reform, which is why bail reform needs to be repealed now, immediately. But there's no urgency in New York State to do anything. Meanwhile, the crime is out of control. All right, you go to the map, and again, we're going to show you what is happening, because this is all the plan here to just ruin New York, put these criminals on the streets, and just So let's go look at Baldwin, where that shooting happened that I read earlier. We're gonna look, see if we can find Cottage Place. Cottage Place, Baldwin. Let's see where it is. Oh, it's actually, where is it? Waiting for it to load here. Where is Cottage Place? Looks like it took me into this area here. Looks like it's right by the train station. Right here? Yep. It's not far from the train station at all. It is just south of the train station, but this is Cottage Place in Baldwin. This is the street the shooting happened. And again, this is what you have dumped into the streets here. And Baldwin, like I said, even though it's on the South Shore, it's in the same boat as Freeport. Unless you're south of Merrick Road in the southern part of Baldwin Harbor, this is all bad. This has all got problems. They just dump all the problems here. Because again, that's all part of the plan, you see. It's all part of the plan. If you look at the whole area here, I mean, everything is getting ruined, basically, except for a few select enclaves where people can be safe, all right? And that's how they price you out. That's how they price you out. You know the deal. They redline everything. They're redlining all of this, the whole middle of the island all the way out, turning into all just one big Jamaica here, dumping all the problems here, dumping all the problems here, right? Except for Levittown. It's my computer being crazy again. Hold on. Why isn't this not clearing? I'm hitting this erase button and it's not working. Okay. We'll have to just do it this way. So, again, they're just ruining this whole, maybe we just draw a square. Well, I'd rather not draw a square. It's easier for me just to do this. But they're just ruining this whole area. Is just going to become an extension of Jamaica. All right, this whole thing. Just one extension of Jamaica all the way out. And then the North Shore too. All right. They're going to ruin the North Shore too. They're dumping the problems there too. We saw that with what happened in Rocky Point today, all right? And the city, of course, Manhattan getting ruined. Everything's getting ruined. It's getting redlined. They're just dumping the problems there. They're dumping all the poop there. All the problems are getting dumped there. They're just the deal. We drew the poop, and this is what they're doing. All the criminals are out of jail, and they're putting them in the middle of the island on the North Shore. Meanwhile, and parts of the South Shore too, like Freeport and Baldwin, putting them there too, because those aren't lily white rich areas, so they're putting that there too, and they're that's what they do. Meanwhile, the areas that are all lily white areas full of finance professionals, well, they get to be safe. All those areas like all those areas like Wantaw, Seaford, Massapequa, all this whole block here. Of course, Rockville Center, even Oceanside, maybe even parts of Valley Stream, parts of Woodmere, parts of Oceanside, maybe parts of Long Beach. You go into Suffolk County, Blue Point, Sayville, Oakdale, Islip, all a little protected enclaves. So is Babylon, West Islip, and Lindenhurst. These are the areas you're going to have to live. If you can't live in these areas here, if you can't find a place in these areas, there's not going to be a good quality of life for you on Long Island anymore. That's the sad reality of it. That you've got to be in these little enclaves here. Those are the only safe areas left, and that's how they price you out. Because these areas are very desirable. Everybody wants to move there. You have 50, 100 people fighting over one house, bidding at $100,000 over list price, desperate to get in there, and only the people that have the money and the finance professionals are going to get into those towns. The rest of us are going to be relegated to the middle of the island and deal with all the problems that we deal with, in towns like, it's all part of the plan, You got Jamaica here. Jamaica's already ruined, but it's going to extend. They're dumping all the problems, steering it all. Flora Park, New Hyde Park, Mineola, Westbury, Hicksville, maybe even Plainview, Bethpage. Maybe it'll even get into Farmingdale eventually. It's just spreading. It's spreading into parts of East Meadow too. Of course, Hempstead. Garden City's hanging on, but I wonder how much longer. Elmont's gone. Again, Freeport Baldwin gone. Farmingdale's a big question mark. I think they're going to ruin Jericho. They're working on Huntington. They're working on Melville, Wyandanch, Deer Park, Brentwood, Central Islip. This whole area is just going to be redlined. The whole damn thing. It's just redlined here, all right? And then they're going to start dumping them on the North Shore, too. Start to dump them here. We start seeing some closed businesses in Port Washington, then closed businesses in Manhasset. You see what's going on. It's all about these enclaves on the South Shore. And like I said, if you can't get that in the city, forget. You might as well just put a big X over the whole city, because the whole city is going to be crime-ridden. All right? This is what it is when you let criminals run loose. Only the richest people set up their enclaves, their own kind. Now the rest of us have to deal with all the problems. We have to deal with all the poop. We have to deal with all the problems dumped in our towns. All the poop is just being dumped here. It's just being dumped. It's just being dumped. All right. I'm going to keep drawing this because this is what's happening. Oh, Comac too. Yeah, Comac's being ruined. Deer Park's being ruined. They're all instead of being in jail, it's like somebody just opened the vault like in Ghostbusters and just let all the ghosts out to terrorize us. But the ghosts are staying away from certain areas because there's certain politically connected areas, where the snobs live in here, on the South Shore in their little enclaves like Rockville Center, Lynbrook, Merrick, Belmore, Wantaw, Seaford, Massapequa, Lindenhurst, West Islip, Babylon, Islip, Oakdale, Sayville, Blue Point. Again, finance professionals. You've got to be a white finance professional. And if you are not a white finance professional, then you will have to deal with all these problems until you say, that's it, I can't take it anymore, I'm leaving Long Island. That's how they price you out. That's what's going on. I'm going to keep talking about it because this is the reality. This is the plan that's happening. All right? And this is how they do it. But, and like I said, the real estate makes money either way by selling all the homes in these red-lined areas to slumlords, putting 20, 30 illegals, ex-cons, drug addicts, whatever they can, stuff in there. The apartment buildings they can't fill, they'll just put more homeless in. While they'll make money that way, and then on the South Shore they'll make money on the commissions by all these inflated house prices. But everybody's leaving the city. Everybody's leaving the city, and they all want to go into the enclaves. All the rich, all the snobs and the finance professionals leaving the city, they're not looking to move to the middle of the island. They got to be in the enclaves. Trust me. We still have that vacant apartment building in Mineola. It's still vacant. That Morgan Park, I looked at it today. There's like no one in there. It's like a shell. There's nobody living there. All right? So this is what's happening. All right? And we all know it's all part of the plan. We all know what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen. It's all part of the plan to force us out. And that's what's going to happen. We're going to force us out, and eventually you have to live somewhere where the housing prices are cheaper, where you can find a safe place to live and not have to be rich. The rest of us are just going to have to go and live in New Jersey. That's what's going to happen. We're going to be forced out of the middle of the island because we won't be able to survive here anymore, and we're going to have to live in New Jersey or someplace else. All right. Well, maybe other parts. Maybe some places people will go to Pennsylvania. Maybe some people will go down south. But we are being forced out. We are being purged out. That's why the crime's not getting reported. That's why News 12 is ignoring us, because it's all part of the plan to purge us out. That's what they're doing. Like I said, I couldn't imagine living anywhere else other than Long Island, and I'm not going to stand here and just take it. This is war against that demographic. We're going to fight like hell against them. I don't care how much they intimidate me. They create hater channels. They dislike. This is the way these people are. This is the way they are. This is how they get their way. You've seen how they intimidate people. And it's war. It's war. We must fight against these snobs. And this is a prime example of what I'm talking about with News 12. Like I said, I'm going to be riding News 12 hard until they get their act together, until they start reporting on local news again. Barstool Sports helps seafood restaurants struggling due to pandemic. So it's Seaford. They say the restaurant is struggling. Barstool Sports helped them out. That's great, but what about all the struggling businesses in the middle of the island? We have a lot of restaurants that have closed. What about them? We don't remember. And let me. They're going to show a picture of it, and you're going to see. Look, does this place look struggling to you? Look at all the people in there. Does that place look struggling to you? Does that place look struggling to you? Meanwhile, we have restaurants in Mineola that have no one in them. No one. Yet no one is coming to help us. We don't count because we're not lily white. They are all white people. Of course they count because they're all white people. The rest of us, well, if you're not white, sorry, you don't count. Because racism is cool again because of our racist president. Thank God he's outgoing, but this is what's going on. And then let's take a look at these brief little stories. Meanwhile, let's see what they... Oh, we got this again. Of course. Things don't want to load. They don't want to load again. News12. I got to go to the incognito because News12 wants to be a pain in the neck here. But we're just going to take a look and show you what News12 is the crime. I got to find the crime now because they bury it. You can't even find it. Find it. It showed up in the little thing, the little brief there, and that was it. Can't even find anywhere. You know what? We'll do this. Brentwood double R stab. Oh, let's do it this way. They don't even have stuff on their website. It's ridiculous. Yeah, let's see how much time this got on News12. This is why I want to show you. Let's see. That only gets how many seconds? 31 seconds. That's it. Only 31 seconds. Oh, we got a preppy woman reporting it. Oh, is that Erin coming to her? She should have to live in Brentwood and deal with living with those kind of problems. Yeah, it won't play. But it's 31 seconds is all it gets. That's all it gets. That's all it gets. Top stories. That's not even... robbery bank. Yeah, they spent like 30 seconds on that. Still trying to play the video, which is unbelievable. Now it's trying to play an ad. But, you know, I mean, this is what goes on here. This is what goes on at News12. You know, they don't care about us. They don't care about the crime. They don't care about the problems we're dealing with. It's all about these people on the South Shore. It's all about them. It's all about them. They get all the attention. They get all the help. Meanwhile, the middle of the island is just left to rot like we are in the middle of a forest. And we are completely worthless. That's what's going on at News12. And I'm not going to sit by and let them get away with this. I'm not going to let them sit by and get away with this. I'm not going to let them sit by and get away with this. And then... this is East Meadow, which is sort of toward the South Shore too. Meanwhile, there's no help for the businesses in the middle of the island. Look, you know, our businesses are closing up left and right. Seaford isn't doing bad at all compared to what we're going through. And meanwhile, cry me a river for Seaford. While they're living up in their enclaves, when is there ever any crime in Seaford? They sit pretty. They don't have to deal with the vagrants. They don't have to deal with the problems. Meanwhile, we got to deal with the problems, but we're ignored. And it just makes me so damn mad. Let's see how many seconds this gets. 5 fire departments respond to raging house fire in Coram. Won't even load. 20 seconds. It got 20 seconds. You see the 20 seconds pop up there? 20 seconds. See? That's all it gets. 20 seconds. 20 seconds. A major fire in Coram. Sorry, that's not important, so it's only going to get 20 seconds. Sorry. And it's the same thing for that explosion in Amityville. North Amityville, I should say. Again, they don't care about what we're going through. They're served a preppy little elite sitting pretty in their little South Shore towns while we suffer. Can't even find it. They don't even make... You can't even find... the stories on their freaking website. That's how bad it is. So there you go. That pretty much concludes this video here. Obviously, News 12, they really do serve this demographic, and this demographic is really trying to squeeze us out. This is war. And, you know, of course I'm going to take it personal because I get personally attacked because I've gone against them. I get a lot of grief, whether it be the thumbs down, whether it be hater counts, whether it be harassment, bullying, whatever. This is the way these people are. This is how they get their way. They intimidate, they bully, and most people just give in. I will never give in to you, snobs. I will never. I will fight you as long as I possibly can until this nonsense stops and every single Long Island community is treated equally and fairly. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching.